Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's December 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. A couple of things, housekeeping type items before we get started on the chart lesson. One, I did switch today to the March 2020 contract. The volume is pretty much switched over. Normally you can switch on Fridays, but Friday the volume was still really low in the March contract, so I still traded the December, but I switched over today. So generally, you'll switch. You don't switch on the rollover day, which is usually on Thursdays. Generally, you want to wait till Friday and occasionally Monday, like this quarter. It was Monday. It was a Monday switch over before we really switched. Secondly, I want to talk about. I'm going to be taking off. I'm probably going to work today and tomorrow and probably take off from. I may work Wednesday. I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking tomorrow's going to probably be my last day of the year, and I'll probably take off the 18th. I was talking about coming back on the 2nd, but that's a Thursday, so I probably won't even come back and start back until um, Monday the 6th. So we'll just have to kind of play it by ear whether I'm going to trade Wednesday or not. But you can see today is the 16th, and I'm definitely going to work tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, and then I will take off the remainder of the year. Generally not much going on. Doesn't mean you can't trade those days, but it's generally really quiet, especially when you start into this week here, the 23rd, a few days into Christmas, and that whole week between that and New Year's, there's generally nothing going on. So, um, and with the first work day back being on a Thursday, probably won't be much happening that whole week either. So again, if you want to trade it, you can come in. Just be real careful, especially on those half days, and maybe a day or two on each side of Christmas, and a day or so on each side of, or a day or so prior to New Year's Day. I'd be real careful about trading those days, especially if the volume's low. But anyway, I'll keep you posted. Probably take off Wednesday through the end of the year. Like I said, probably come back on that Monday the 6th. And I may come back. I may be bored to death and come back that Thursday, the 2nd or whatever. So, but just seems kind of, doesn't hardly seem worth it to come back for one day for that week. I guess I could always do one on Friday if I really was bored and came in, and I might. So, but most likely it'll probably be the 6th before I come back. So, anyway, let's talk about today's chart. Nice uptrend today. We gapped open in the overnight. It was all uphill, and we continued uphill until we actually started out in this blue channel, got a break, a new high, but before that happened, we really were over into this brown channel. This blue one's a little too steep. The brown one's a little bit better angle. We finally got a break, a new high, and then we trended down to almost sideways into the close. So that was the big picture. Really, from about lunchtime on, there wasn't anything there. So kind of a slow day. It's already starting to slow down probably. But we'd had a big move already today, and it was not surprising that we really consolidated this afternoon. We didn't do much after about 9 or 10 o'clock. We just kind of consolidated here. There was a big gap. This is where we closed Friday, and this is where we opened. So and we just traded up. So there's a gap between where we closed today and where we closed yesterday. So there's a big gap on the daily chart. We may try to fill it during the overnight, and tomorrow we'll see. Sometimes on a day like this, you may even try to fill it that same day. But this was a really strong day, so it didn't surprise me that we didn't really sell off much after the trend kind of played out here. But anyway, I'm going to back out. There's not a lot of trades today. It won't take long to go through this, and we'll wrap it up. And I'll be back tomorrow for sure. And we'll just kind of, I'll probably give you an idea tomorrow if I'm going to be back on Wednesday or not. So, but anyway, when I came in, 7 o'clock was right up through here, and you're just so far away from the EMA. You don't really want to be entering here. And then you got a little congestion and an overshoot, and then finally you come back. You get a little second entry long here, but that signal bar is just not very good. But you make your high or low right here at a nice signal bar. Notice how everything's still closing inside that trend line. That's a great place to go long. You get a little bit of a runner here, but it comes back pretty quickly. And you don't get a long-term runner. Um, Notice that there's a first entry and a second entry. I want to explain this trade. Let me make this a little bigger. Normally I would tell you you might want to skip this one, but this trend has been really strong. It's a second entry, and then you got this little bitty inside bar. And generally inside bars are not very reliable, but as you can see here, this inside bar and this bar are bouncing off that trend line. And we did get a confirmation here of this trend line when this bounced here. And so you may want to go long above that if prices break above it. What I would say is your signal bar, this is your signal bar, so your stop still has to go down here. But still, even with that inside bar, you're only looking at maybe 3 ticks there. So that's a very low risk entry on a second entry in a strong uptrend. So if you took it under those circumstances, I don't think I would wait and go long above that bar. It's not a very good signal bar to begin with, but just to be able to get in on a 3 ticks on a second entry, basically, because it really was a second entry long when it broke higher above this little inside bar. And everything's still closing above that trend line as well. So I like that one. There's a higher low here. I made this one green. I'm not as crazy about it because you're right into this resistance across here. But it has been a strong trend. You may take that trade. I wouldn't take any of these others up through here. It is a strong trend, and you can see those little bars with lots of dojis and stems. That's that strong trend. But we've got a break now, and we've already got a new high here. And on your secondary trend line, this is it. You do have a midline, but you don't want to be going long into it. You'd want something set up on the other side. It just really never does. And so you don't get another chance to enter until you get a second entry right here back on this brown flatter trend line. And notice you got a double top. Actually, you got a new high here, and you get a first entry, and you come back, you get a second entry. There's a little hidden second entry here as well. It's a relatively large bar, but being off that key entry point, I'm probably going to take that trade. There's a higher low here, not a very good one, and then you get that failed second entry short and a nice bullish bar right here. I like going long into that. At this point, you would have had your resistance on up here like so, and I wouldn't be that concerned about the resistance just yet. You still would like to have enough room, so you may let that break higher and drop a limit order in here because you see it kind of chopped around a few times. If you didn't get in here, I definitely wouldn't enter in these other two. I would just sit and play that one trade. And if you didn't enter here, you might consider entering by here, but by that time your resistance is a little lower. But notice how you're making higher lows there every time, and you're really making higher highs too. That's a good sign that we're probably going to get on through there and go higher, but you still want to be careful with it. So I didn't mark any of that. I just think it's a little risky until finally you get down here and you get a first entry and you get a second entry. And that's really the first convincing close outside this trend line. You did have a little bit of a close outside right here. I don't know if I'd call that convincing. But with this second entry long, and plus here's your support resistance, and you're kind of still playing that. I like going long there. Plus, because it's the first break of the brown trend line, and it's been holding all the way up. So we're probably going to try to shoot up and make a new high. And so I like that one. And you just didn't get anything else the rest of the day. You don't really want to be going short here, and you just don't get another long. There's a first entry right there, not a very good setup. And then even right here, there's a second entry, but again, it's not a great setup. It's after 2 o'clock. You would consider entering there. I just don't think it's worth it. There's a double test here with a little failed break lower, but at the same time, this is almost 2:30, so you don't want to be entering that late. So just not a lot of entries today. The ones that were there were pretty good. Just one of those days where all the movement came early, and you still had a trend here, but you just didn't get a lot of entries on it. And basically, it's because this trend is playing out here. It's just not that strong anymore. We've gone a long way. Uh, I mean, if you look where we closed Friday, we closed at 31.75, and by here you're all the way up to 30. We broke above 3,200 here, and that's another thing. Once you break these 100 marks, this is probably another new. I think this is another new all-time high for the S&P. I'm not sure. I can't remember where we've gotten to recently, but if it's not, it's real close. But we're already up here to 3,200 again, and generally prices will play around that. They don't just usually rocket through these century levels, and so we were back and forth above and below it, and we ended up closing below it. So that's not surprising. So just keep that in mind as well. But let me back out and give you the big picture one more time, so you can see that trend. Nice trend today. Just not a lot of entries, but there's some good ones there. So really all of these off these key entry points were relatively safe, and then this second entry off of it was one I'd recommend you take most times. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to it tomorrow. We'll just, I'll kind of let you know then if we're going to try to do one if we're going to try to do Wednesday or not. But anyway, I'm done for today. Quick, short day. Hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.